What's up guys, it is Coded right here and welcome to episode 1 of my brand new series, Advanced Spigot Coding. Now this is going to take over from my last series. This is basically season 2 of my whole Spigot coding series. And to start off the season, we are going to do something cool. I know a lot of you have been asking about custom mobs and we're finally going to do some custom mobs today. So what the plugin is as you can see, I have a bunch of different items in my inventory and I have these gold blocks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build a house out of these gold blocks and you'll see what happens. When I start placing these gold blocks, I have a 10% chance of something bad happening. And what the thing that's going to happen is a villager spawning on me, taking all my stuff and running away. So I'm going to keep placing these gold blocks until I hit that 10% chance. And there it goes. And you see the villager has a custom name, Gold Thief, and he just wants to avoid us. He's running around like crazy, just avoiding us. And the whole mob is custom. The speed, the name, and everything about it is custom. And what we can actually do is when we punch it, when we deal damage to it, if I can catch up. Oh man, he's juking me. Whenever we deal damage, he will actually drop an item. As you see, he just dropped an axe for me, and it's all like we can mess around within the config and stuff, and keep dropping items. And eventually, when I actually kill him, if I can kill him, there we go. And when I actually kill the guy, I'm throwing apples at him. He'll drop my original stuff. And I think we got him here. He also has like a bunch of health. He has like 100+ health I made him have. But you see when he died, he dropped my original stuff. I have my boat, my book, my Litro, everything. And that's basically what the plugin is. Whenever we place these gold blocks, we have a 10% chance of the guy spawning and stealing all of our stuff and running away. There he goes. So let's get into the code. I went ahead and I already created the project. Because this is my quote-unquote advanced series, I'm gonna start getting all this basic code out of the way. So I went ahead and I created the project, the package. I have this main class already with a Java plugin. I went ahead and made the on-enable, on-disable, and I made a plugin manager in here just so we can register our events later on. I also went ahead and made the plugin.yml. Now, the only thing I would say about the plugin.yml is important is this API version, because I'm going to be using a lot of different item stacks. And make sure you have at least 1.13. I like to use 1.13, but if you want to use 1.15, 1.14, go right ahead. Now with all that out of the way, let's create a new package. So I'm gonna right click on my current package, go to new package, and I'm gonna type in events. This is gonna be all of our events. And actually before events, let's go ahead and create our custom mob, get that out of the way. So I'm gonna create another new package. I'm gonna call this mobs. And inside this mob package, we'll create a new class, and this class is going to be called, let's call it Thief. All right. So to create a custom entity, it's very, very simple. 1.15 is a lot easier. I've coded it since 1.9, and I'm telling you, it's a huge pain to code it in older versions. 1.15 made it real easy for us. We're all going to type in is public thief, so we'll create that constructor. Public thief location loc. I'm creating a location so I'm able to set the mob somewhere later on. Let's go ahead and import that. Oh, and also before we move on, right after thief, let's go ahead and extends entity villager, because we're creating a villager. So we have to extend this villager. And inside here, we're going to need a super something. We're going to have to do super entity types dot villager. So we're passing in this entity types of villager. Ooh. Entity types dot villager. There we go. Comma, and then we're going to say the actual world. So the craft world loc.getWorld and then the handle, get handle. Go ahead and import everything, and that's what our super is going to look like. So whenever we call upon this constructor, it's going to make a super of our entity, which is a villager, and then the world in NMS. So this is dealing with a lot of NMS, and you got to take note of this, that this plugin's only going to work in 1.15_R1. So if you're coding if you want this plugin to work in 1.14, you will need to code another class that has the 1.14 imports. And when we get started to do more NMS, I'm going to talk about reflection, and more importantly, how to get multiple classes with NMS to work without reflection. I actually use abstraction and interface classes and stuff to make it all work really smoothly. And I'll go ahead and make another episode about that later on. But once we have this supered, let's go ahead and set the position. So this dot set position, whenever we type this into this class, this dot, we get to see all the different things we can do with our entity. And a lot of them you're going to notice are like A, B, C, K, J. And to be honest, I have no idea what any of that means, because for each entity it's a little different. If you want to know what A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, go on and on, what they stand for, go ahead and do a system.out.println and print out the K, the J, whatever, and see what it means. But we're going to type in this.setPosition. So we're going to set that position of loc.getX, loc.getY, and loc.getZ. So whenever we create our entity, we're passing in the location of our player, and we want the entity to spawn on our player because he's taking stuff basically out of our pockets, is how I look at it. Next, I want to set the custom name, this.set custom name. And this is a little bit different than past versions. We actually need to use a chat component. So new chat component, text. And it's so stupid why we have to use this, because it really does not do anything. Once you type in new chat component text, make sure you import it, and then literally you're good to go. You could type in whatever you want to hear. You can use chat colors and stuff. It's kind of stupid that they force that upon people, especially where people are new and don't know what it means. But once you have new chat component in, you can go ahead and set the custom name. I'm going to make it gold as well as bold. And I'm going to say thief this time. Thief. Next, we want to set this.set custom name visible to true, so our name shows. And then we can get into this.set health. And here you can set your health set the entity's health to whatever you want. I had it set to 100, and as you can see, there's a lot of punches that kill the thing. But I like it like that because I feel like it's I played a lot of Diablo, and you remember those like goblins that run around and steal gold and you can punch them a million times. That's how I envision this entity to be. So it just has a lot of health, and you keep punching them for more gold to come out. Next, we can do Pathfinder. Now, I'm pretty new on Pathfinder. Well, not new, I just haven't done it in years. So bear with me. I'm still learning a lot of stuff from Pathfinder, but today I spent like 8 hours looking into it, and this is what I got so far. We're gonna type in this.goal selector, and we're creating a new goal. And each goal, they're number based. So for the most important goal will be 0, and then you can make a goal that's 1, 2, 3. I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna create a goal selector, put a 0, then a comma. Type in new Pathfinder goal avoid target. Now, if you type in this is for example, type in this. We're not done with that yet, but if you hover over it, you'll see we can import our avoid target, but don't do that yet. You can go ahead and look. There's a bunch of different Pathfinders that we can add into this. And this is actually what I do usually. I just type in Pathfinder goal and then blah, 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 just to see what other ones I can add. And there's a bunch of different goals that we can add. And when we get later on in the series, we'll talk about targets and stuff like attacking targets, but the same thing, Pathfinder attack target, whatever. but we want to import this one, the avoid target. Next, we're getting more errors because we need to add some arguments to this. So we're gonna add that first one right there. For the first null, type in this. For the second null, type in entity player.class. And I'm gonna move it down a line for y'all. And then we'll get this another yellow underline because we need to add in this little thing right here. So we're gonna go ahead, press that, and entity player. Let's see what I got. Entity player class this. Oh, sorry. .a. Oh my god, my bad. So this, whenever you're doing goals, you're doing it with the .a. So this set goal .a, and our most important goal that we have is for it to avoid the target. We do not want this entity to try and trade with the player. We want it to run away. So the most important goal is to avoid the target. So that's why I put it as 0. Next, you see this AA, BD, BD. I have no idea what these means. I'm pretty sure this first one is how many blocks away it will avoid. So if you're within 20 blocks, it will avoid you. So I'm gonna do 15 blocks. If you're within 15 blocks of the entity, it will avoid you. And the second one and the third one deal with speed. I don't know which one's which. One of them is speed with running, one of them is speed with looking. To be honest, I tested it and I still have no idea which one it is. But good numbers that I found out that were pretty well were 1.0 and 1.0. I tried 2.0, I tried 2 and 0. Going above 1, I felt like it's kind of glitchy. This is the exact way I had it in the beginning of the video. And you can see it's pretty good speed, he runs pretty fast, and it's actually good enough speed for we able to catch up to him. Alright, so once we have that set, let's go ahead and set some other goals. Goal selector, .a, make sure you have that .a in there. And we're set the next biggest goal, and that's a new Pathfinder goal, and that's the panic goal. And we're setting it 2.0. So, I assume panic, whenever you punch him, he will panic. And 2.0 will be the speed he reaches up to. Like I said, I'm new to Pathfinder. I tested it out for like 8 hours just today, and this is what I got. The next goal I'm gonna do is the second priority, and this is a new Pathfinder goal, random stroll, land this 0.6D. We're gonna set that a random stroll, and this is the speed he'll be randomly strolling at, which I found out, which is a pretty good speed. Now, quick story, I added this random stroll to a dolphin, and the dolphin actually jumped out of the water and started jumping on the land. So make sure you know when you're dealing with entity, make sure you know you're typing in random stroll land or just random stroll, because your fish might jump out to land. The final goal we're going to set is this goal selector .a and then 3, and this is going to be the new Pathfinder goal, random look around this. Go ahead and import that. If I typed it right. Pathfinder goal, random look around. All right, let's do that one. There we go. So the villager already has these all these goals and targets, and we'll talk about more pathfinding stuff later. But I went ahead and just set all these already because I wanted to show you guys different pathfinders and how they work and stuff. And then this is all we're going to do for this class. The class is done. Our entity is done. All we have to do now is call upon it and spawn it into the world. Basically, we already had the location set, so whenever we add it to the world, it will be spawned at that location. So let's deal with that now. Let's go into our events, and we're creating 3 different events here. we're gonna create a block place event. So whenever we place that block, the entity is gonna spawn. Pretty simple. So we're gonna say implements listener, import that, at event handler, public void on place, block place event. And I only want this to work when they are placing gold blocks. If you want it to work when they're placing all blocks, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say if the event dot get block dot get type, not temperature, type dot equals material dot gold block. So I said here, if it doesn't equal gold block, go ahead and return. I use a lot of those kind of if statements to get rid of all the non-gold blocks. So if it's gold block, then we want to do a random r equals a new random, because they have a certain percentage of getting this thief. And the way I did it earlier was a 10% chance, for sure. So we're going to say r.nextInt. And when you're creating a random int, it's maximum. So your maximum number is 1,000 plus your minimum 0, and then minus your minimum. So they have a chance between 0 and 1,000. So we're picking a number between 0 and 1,000, and we're saying if it's greater than 100, return, because we don't care about them. Only if it's 100 or less, then we're going to spawn that thief. And to spawn the thief, it's thief, and we'll call him Dirty Joe, equals a new thief. Entity event dot get player dot get location, and boom, we created our thief. We created our Dirty Joe. Make sure I spell thief right. There we go. And we can actually do stuff with Dirty Joe in the thief class. When we set all the health and stuff, we can do that thing. You can do that stuff here as well. We can do Dirty Joe dot and then, you know, set health and stuff like that. I think it's best just to do it in your actual mob class, but you can do whatever you like. Your code, your decisions. And then next, to spawn the entity, we're going to say world server world equals, and the same thing we said earlier, craft worlds, event dot get player dot get world dot get handle. And I'll go ahead and zoom in for y'all. Once we have that world, that NMS world, we can world.add entity Dirty Joe. And we're done. Just like that. That's how you finish adding that entity. Now, if you want to stick with the rest of the video, I'm going to talk about the events, actually how this Dirty Joe works. But that's how simple it is to create a custom entity. Just go ahead and make a class that extends a villager, have this super, set the position, all the custom stuff, the goals, and then you can go ahead and spawn it in just like that. All right, next in this event, I want to say event.setCanceled to true. And then we're going to say event.getPlayer.getInventory.clear. Whenever they place that block and the villager spawns in, we're clearing that inventory. But we want to add that inventory to a list. So let's go ahead and say private main. Let's create a constructor real quick. Public block place main plugin. Call this plugin. This dot plugin equals plugin. I'm creating a constructor to our main class because in our main class, I'm going to put a public list. Yeah, let's do a public list of item stack. Stolen items equals a new array list. Go ahead and import all of that. And this is the util imports for that stuff. All right, so once you have that list created in your main class, we can go ahead in our block place event and we can say for item stack item, go through the event.getPlayer.getInventory.getContents. And we're going to say for every item in their inventory, we're going to add it to that list. Plugin.stolenitems.add item. All right, boom. Our block place event is done. So whenever they place the block, their inventory be wiped, and we should probably wipe their inventory after we set the items to these stolen items. And then the entity will spawn and he'll run away. Next, we're gonna create 2 more events, and these events will be for when we punch the entity or when we kill the entity. So we'll do entity damage. This is going to implement a listener, be the same stuff as before. At event handler, public void on damage, entity, damage, event. Go ahead and import everything. Import. All right. So what we want to say in here is basically if the event.getEntity is instance of a villager. So if it's not a villager, let's go ahead and return. So we don't care about it if it's cheap or whatever. We only care about it's a villager. And then we're going to say getEntity.getCustomName. If getCustomName equals null, that means it's not a custom entity, so we don't care about it. Next, we're going to say if event.getEntity.getCustomName.contains thief. So we're saying if it doesn't, if their name isn't thief, we don't care about it. We only care about it if it's a thief and it's a villager. Next, we can go ahead and create that random. And the way I had the villager working is whenever we punched that villager, it dropped a random item. And the random item was a preset item that I had in a list. And we can go ahead and do that real quick. So creating an array of item stack, I'm gonna call it the gold sack. Set equal. So we're set equal to this. So a new item stack, material dot gold. We'll do gold nugget. We'll put in 16, comma, and then right after that, go ahead and import item stack, and we can just copy this line, paste it in a bunch of times, and put in different items. So we want gold nuggets to come out of him. We want gold blocks, 2 of those. What else? All golden stuff. Gold axe was put 1 of those in there. We can do some iron stuff. Some iron ignite. 16. We'll do an iron helmet too. Why not? Iron helmet. And then let's throw in an ender pearl and we'll call it a day there. Ender pearl. Y'all can put in whatever you like. So basically, whenever we punch this entity, we want it to drop a random item from that array right here. And to get the random item, we're going to say event.getEntity.getWorld.drop item naturally. And we're dropping the item at event.getEntity. And I'm actually going to move down a line real quick for y'all. GetEntity. .get can we do get location, and then we're going to say gold sack r.next int. Inside here, the maximum plus the minimum. The maximum is going to be gold sack.length plus the minimum being 0 minus the minimum. So what I'm saying in there is, what's the length of our array? Our length of our array is 6. So we're doing 6 plus the minimum array, which would be 0 because the array is 0 based. And the maximum, this would actually be 5. So it'd be 5 plus 0 plus 0. So we just want to get only the items inside that array. And if you make sure that you actually do length plus 0 minus 0, because if it's anything other than that, you'll get an array out of bounds. And I'm sorry, but I can't see. Let's move down the line. But like that. Gold stack, length plus 0 minus 0. And the beautiful thing about code is that we can copy it. So let's copy this whole entire class real quick. Let's create a new event. Entity def. And let's paste that event, that class in. Change this to def. And our def event is basically done. Let's change these to other things. We can make this 64. Gold block we'll make 25. I'll keep that. We'll change the iron ingot to a diamond. Put 32 diamonds. Iron helmet, we'll put diamond, diamond boots. Make 10 ender pearls. So the death event is the same as the damage event. Whenever the thing dies, it's gonna give us a random item inside this array, and it's also going to give us our player's inventory back. And we already have everything we need in here. We're just gonna add a few more lines. We're gonna say 4 item stack item. Oh, we need to add the constructor. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy the constructor from my block place event, because it's gonna be the same exact code, except change this to entity def. All right, so we're gonna go for every item in the stolen items. First off, let's add in this item does not equal null. Make sure you have that if statement in there. I'm going to say the same code right here. I'm going to copy this code. And instead of the gold sack, we're going to say item. And that's it. So we'll go through every single item that they stole. And if it's not null, we're going to spawn it on the ground. And just like that, we are completely done. Yeah, we're done with everything. Let's go into our main class and just register these events. pm.register events, a new entity damage. This. Entity death event. Put in this. And then our place block event. All right, let's go ahead and test out the plugin. I'm gonna export to my server. I'm gonna call it custom thief though. All right, let's go ahead and give myself some gold blocks. So when we place these gold blocks, we have a 10% chance of this villager spawning and stealing all our stuff, running away. Oh, there he goes. And looks pretty good. Thief, and he's avoiding us crazily. Now if we punch him, man, this dude's fast. If we punch him, he drops items. Oh, he's dropping 3 items. Okay, so I actually made a stupid mistake. In my entity death class, I actually had the entity damage event right here, and that's what was causing the entity to drop more than 1 block. So make sure in your on death event you are using the entity death event and not the damage event. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I hope I didn't go too fast. There was a lot of code in here, But really the main takeaways from this is when you create an entity class, just extends the entity that you want to use. If you want to use an entity zombie, which is probably the easiest one to use, entity zombie, change the zombie, import it, and then just change this to zombie. And you're good to go. Whatever entity you want to use, just go ahead and change it. All the entities are how they are in vanilla. And entity dolphin, entity whatever, there's right after this entity word. And then once you have that thing created, modify it, and then you can spawn it in with that 2 lines of code, 3 lines of code right there. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and go ahead and comment below what you guys want to see next. I have a lot of ideas for this series, as well as I got another series coming out, the challenge series. Y'all can go ahead and check out that. If you are new to Spigot and you were kind of lost throughout this episode, go ahead and check out my first season. The first season kind of goes a little slower, maybe, and it goes over some more basic things. But this series is all about some more advanced things. We'll talk about more NMS, we'll be talking about more about packets, and we'll get to a lot of fun plugins. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I'll see you guys in the next episode.